We are in parsha Habracha. Again, I actually went through the records to see if I ever spoke about this parsha before. The answer is no. I never spoke about this parsha online. Anyway, I have spoken about it before, but I've never spoken about it online. It is the only parsha, as we just learned, that is never read on a Shabbat. It never has a separate Shabbat to it, and therefore the speeches are very little. When it comes to Zod Bracha, his Moshe's parting words to Bnei Yisrael, and yet while it's probably started very nicely, it's never really spoken about on the day. The reason it's never spoken about is because we read on Simchat Torah. So at Simchat Torah, traditionally, it was a very long service because of all the hakafot and everything else, and traditionally the rabbi would not get up to speak. Now the reason for that was because you had a kiddush right after Shacharis, you would have the kiddush, because otherwise in those days, they even here sometimes, if you go to HSC and some other shuls, they, because of the dancing, will pass the time for making kiddush, which would be chatzot. So you're going to pass that, because sometimes you don't get through until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a very long, and everybody has an aliyah. I mean, it's a long service if you don't split up all the different, if you don't have multiple readings. And in many places, you wouldn't have multiple readings. You would have one reader, and everybody in the shul has to get an aliyah, unless you're with Lubavitch there. They don't do it. I'm not sure what Lubavitch is anymore. I don't think they all do it. I think they have just 5 aliyahs, but all of the Kohanim go together, all of the Levim go together, and then you break up the groups, and you only have 5 aliyahs. I'm pretty sure that's how they do it.
Whoever would be left, you'd break those up into three
Right,
groups.
everybody's doing it. There's whole groups, so they don't extend it like we do. We have 20 people here, we have 20 aliyahs. Yeah. So, obviously it gets very long, and the Quorum breaks down. But biggest thing from that was that when you made Kiddush, you would make it on wine, not grape juice. So as a result of that, people would get a little shikker, drunk, okay? And now that's why the Kohanim duchen in the morning as compared to duchening at Musaf. That's the real reason. So if you go to the Breuers, they have it, they make Kiddush, I believe, the Kohanim are not allowed to drink, some Kohanim, they're designated ducheners, so as not to move it out of its proper place. And so I was told, I never saw it, they will duchen in Musaf, but they have to be designated not to drink. Like designated drivers, you have a designated duchener. Okay, so I guess he got the short straw, whatever. But the point is that's why. So now, if you have this place that everybody's rocking and rolling, and it's a lot of dancing, frivolity, people sweating, and so on and so forth. Some people are drunk. Now for the rabbi to start getting up and to give a drasha for another 15, 20 minutes, or in those days a half hour, the rabbi would be killed. So it wasn't worthwhile for the rabbi to get up at that particular juncture and to give a drasha to people who are half drunk. I mean, when I have to do it here, it's bad enough, but certainly for when they're doing it for a half hour or an hour or even 10 minutes, it can be very long. So what happened was, traditionally, the rabbis did not speak on Simchat Torah, and as a result, Moshe Rabbeinu got cheated out of his major eulogy. I mean, think about it. It's all about Moshe's death and what he was saying. But that's, it's a very interesting development as far as Zod HaBracha. Okay. So the ArtScroll brings down the introduction, which becomes important, and Rashi brings this down, so let's just start with that. It says, the Midrash teaches that Moshe continued the tradition which began with Jacob when he blessed the tribes before his death. These final words of Moshe are a combination of blessing and prophecy, in which he blesses each tribe according to its national responsibilities and individual greatness. Ramban and Rabachia note the Kabbalistic significance of the word vizot, and this, with which Moshe's blessings are introduced and Yaakov's final blessings were concluded. This repeated use of the word vizot implies that Moshe's blessings were a continuation of Jacob's, as if to say that the tribes were blessed at the beginning of their national existence, and again as they were about to begin life in Eretz Israel. Moshe also used the word vizot when he began his summation of the Torah before he died, which symbolizes that Israel's way to achieve the blessings of his patriarch and teacher is by studying and observing the Torah. As the last sidra in the Torah, this is the reading of Simchas Torah, when the annual Torah reading is completed and then begun anew from Genesis. By the way, why do we do that? Why do we go straight from Sort of Bracha to Bereshis?
Not to stop and rest, to keep going.
Correct. It's to show that we can, once we finished it, we love it so much, we want to go back. It's not a matter of rest so much, it's just we love this so much, and that's why, by the way, what is the beauty of Simchat Torah? What is the beauty of it? That we're finishing, we're making Yasiyum. No. And if you, when I was in yeshiva, a lot of people, let's face it, a lot of people, even with all the halacha says, we're supposed to they say the pasuk twice, and we're supposed to do the targum once and understand it. Many people don't do that, sadly. Many people do not know the 5 books of Moses. The fact that we don't know Tanakh, the rest of Tanakh is a difference. That's also sadness. But many people don't know the basic storyline or how the Chumash runs. And I'm talking about from people, never mind the non-religious. I'm talking about the from people. They don't study it. They went to school. They learned it in first grade, second grade, third grade, whatever. And then when it comes to yeshiva or whatever, it's assumed that you will do it. Well, assuming is a very bad thing. If I don't train you to do it, and furthermore, I belittle it in place of Gemara, because the Gemara has everything. That's what they say. So the Gemara has everything. So I don't need to use this. It becomes a very sad situation. So as a result of that, many people never see the whole Torah, except they go to shul and they hear it, but they don't study it. When I was young, when I was in yeshiva, and I was young in the yeshiva, I decided that I was going to do every parsha. And let me tell you something. When you're first starting out, and certainly when you go to yeshiva like Or Sameach, I don't have the background that my son, Baruch Hashem, has, or that my kids have today. My kids are brought up from. I wasn't. So I had to struggle through the Hebrew. So I had to go through the, what do you call it, the old, now they have everything. Today you don't struggle. But the old blue books that had the transliteration. What the translation? No, I had a Jastra True. We had it here, the Hertz. The old Hertz, I think it was Hertz.
Oh, the Chumash you mean?
Yeah, but it was an old one that it had the English, Hebrew, and Rashi underneath. I think it was Hertz, I'm not sure. It's here, it's a blue book. I forget where it is here.
Yeah, the Hertz that...
I think it was a Hertz.
That draws upon a lot of Gentile comments.
No, not that one. That's a different Chumash. But I think there's another one, I forget what it's called, but it's a blue one. It was the first side-by-side translation. Now it would be Mitsuda. But it was before Mitsuda came, that was it. Okay. So what happened was, I knew that I didn't know all the words, and I knew that if I would have to learn all the words, I wasn't going to do it. Right? Hebrew is not so simple. When you're just starting out, I mean, I had a decent background, but I didn't have the vocabulary that I have today. So for me to sit there and look up every word in Jastrow wasn't going to happen. And certainly to go through every Rashi wasn't going to happen without a translation. So what I said was, okay. So I took those books, I was in yeshiva, and I said, okay, I'm going to do it. And I did Shnayim, and I went through the Rashi. Well, when you get through, first of all, if you can get through Bereshis, you're in good shape. Bereshis is tremendously long. It's unbelievable how long that is. Then you go through Noach, it's long, and so on and so forth. But they're good because they're storyline. You get into Shemos, it's storyline until you get to Mishpatim. Then the story breaks down, and then you get to Vayikra, it's horrible. It's sacrifices. It's so boring. You're not into it. Even as a Kohen, I'm sorry. Yeah. It just doesn't excite me to know what all the different animals are and everything else that goes with it. Until you get to some storylines, fine. But otherwise, and then Bamidbar, the first 3 or 4, what do you call parshot, are again boring. Until you get to finally Shlach. Or before that, a little before that, you get some storyline. Fine. Deuteronomy, again, it's not the most exciting thing, but I want to know something. When I came to Vizot Habracha, and I said, for the 5th time of that year, Chazak v'nichazek, by myself. It was the greatest simcha that I've ever remembered. Even more than finishing a Gemara. Because I had finally gone through the entire thing with the Rashis. I wasn't doing anything else at that point, with Rashi, and I said, good, now I've accomplished it, so what I immediately do? Precious Baruch Hamishmaim. Okay? And of course, as I went on, I picked up some more commentaries. But the thing is that we have to make that goal, that we should never say that, you know what, I'll hear it, I'll study with the English. No, we really should endeavor to go through the text, to understand the text, and ultimately, we don't need the English. And then we have a working vocabulary, and we have a working concept of, without looking at Rashi, knowing what Rashi said, or knowing what Rashi's questions are, or knowing what the Ramban says. Okay, that's what I'm saying. The more we study it, the more it becomes real to us. And like I said, when it comes to Zod HaBracha, even to this very day, when I come to that point, which I came to recently, because I finished it off, and I said, Chazak, Chazak, and Nechazek, for probably the 30th time. I think it's 30 times I've done this. So it's beautiful. It just makes you feel like, Baruch Hashem, I could do it again. And in Mitzvah Hashem, when I finish Shas, which whenever the cycle's over, and I'm not going to just sit on my laurels. Again, start with brachot, even though I've done brachot a couple of times. I start with brachot again. I don't know if I'll, what speed I'll keep up at that point, but hopefully I'll be able to maintain Daf Yomi, and along with the other stuff we do. But the point is that, that's why we're doing it. We're doing it because it gives you the motivation to want to go more and more and more and more and more, because this is Hashem's words. So, now, let's start. Zod HaBracha. This is the blessing. Asher berach Moshe ish Elokim, that Moshe, the man of God, blessed at Bnei Israel before Lifnei Moto, before he died. What is the importance of saying before he died? So Rashi says, Samuch lemitato, this tells us that he was saying these words before he died. Why? If he wouldn't do it now when he's about to die, when is he going to tell the people what's going to happen in the future? Right? Yeah. So you have to tell them. So now that's one thing. Why did he wait so long? Okay, he learned this from Yaakov. Yaakov waited till he was about to die before he told his kids what's going to happen in the future. Why? Because if he would have told them all the way along, and he would have told Reuven off every single time because of what he did with Bilhah, and he would have told off Levi and Shimon for what they did, namely wiping out Shechem and their anger, so they would have said, I had enough. I'm leaving. I'm going to go to Uncle Esav. He loves me. He loves me unconditionally because we're like him. He won't bother us for this, right? So Yaakov said, I don't want to do that. I don't want to lose my children. So I'm going to tell them off at the end. But I want to make sure they understand where they're going to go and what they need to do. This is what you call an ethical will. Unlike a will where I give you I tell you, you get my jewelry, you get this, you get that. Here's an ethical will. This is what will happen to you in the future if all you do is follow Hashem. That's all you have to do, follow the Torah, and this will happen to you. So he is doing that to the tribes at this point. He has to give a little bit of a history, but he's also waiting, like Yaakov, before his death, so he waited before his death. Vayomar, and he said, Hashem came from Sinai, from Mount Sinai, and then Vazarach me Seir, and he shined forth, having shined forth from Seir, Lamo Hofim Haparan, from Seir, having appeared at Mount Paran, and V'atam Revo Kodesh, and then the approach was some of the holy myriads, Vimino, from his right, Eish dot. You read that word as 2 words, Eish dot, with a fiery Torah of fiery law, lamo, to them. So what's going on there? Rashi again explains, and it says, Moshe came to Sinai. It says, Patach techila b'shvachol shel makom. Originally, he starts off with the praise of Hashem, and then he opens up with the needs of Israel. The shvach, the praise that he opened up with Hashem, is mentioning the merit of Israel, and all this is a way to appease the people, as if to say they were worthwhile that this blessing would fall upon them. Okay, that's number one. Then it says he came from Sinai, which means he came out to meet them when they were standing under the mountain, or at the foot of the mountain, like the Chatan the groom that goes out to receive the face of his wife, as it says, the kala. I shouldn't say his wife, his bride. As it says, the Kvad Hashem, to come to approach Hashem. So, by the way, this is halacha too. When you guys are under the chuppah, okay, you're going to be under the chuppah first, right? Yes? Take my word for it. You go out before the woman. The woman is the star of the show. You're just the player at that point. Okay? You go first. You're the one that's making the acquisition, but you go first because everybody has to go, ooh, ah, when the bride comes out, right? That's how it works. The bride is the true star of the show. She is the one who is being acquired. She's the one you're bringing into your house as a public thing. Well, when she's walking towards you, you don't stand there like a lummox under the chuppah. A lummox? You want to ask what a lummox is? Yeah, you don't stand like, you just don't stand there. You don't stand there, but when she comes closer, when she's just about to come out, you walk towards her and lead her, assuming there's no problem with that, lead her under the chuppah with you. Because that's your act of acquisition. You're drawing her. By the way, the act of acquisition would be Mashicha. You're pulling her. That's how you acquire things. You pull her, or you're going to ultimately pay her with the ketubah and the ring and everything else. But that is why you go towards her. But we're also imitating Hashem. There says Hashem came out to meet us from Sinai. He came out to meet the bride. We're the bride. So also we, the Chatan, go out to the man goes out toward the woman to bring her into his house, and doesn't expect her to just walk into his house. So that's, if you ever watch a wedding, that's what will happen. If he knows, if the rabbis tell him, he should go out to meet his wife. Just a little bit. I'm not saying you should leave the chuppah, but just a little. Go down and don't just stand there waiting for her to circle you. You know why they circle you 7 times, right?
Sure. Like Jericho?
Say it again?
Like Jericho?
Oh, yeah. Oh, the walls come crumbling down. I always said the reason a woman's walk has her around you, I don't know if it's true, is because she's saying, I see you wherever you are, I see you.
Is what?
I see you wherever you are. I see everything. Be careful. That's more of a joke than anything else, but okay.
Yeah.
Then, so it happens is then he says he shone forth from Seir. So Rashi says, here's a famous thing, that Hashem started to ask the Bnei Seir, Edom, Ishmael, if they will receive the Torah before he came to us. Remember, we're the last ones on the list. He knew he was coming to us, but if God, even though God knew that they would say no, God still had to give them first ops. You know, there's the option here. Do you want it? Do you not want it? So that when they would come and say, if you would have come to us, we would have accepted it. He said, I did, and you didn't. Okay. So that's one. Then it says, Hophia, and he spread to them from Paran. What was there? That was Yishmael. And he said to Bnei Yishmael, will you accept my Torah? And they didn't want to. Now there's a lot of midrashim as to what happened there when he went to Esav, and they said, what's in the Torah? And he said, you shall not murder. He says, what are you talking about? I was blessed by my father, by the sword you shall live. So therefore it means murder, and that's my blessing. You want to take that away? I want that. Okay, fine. So then he goes to Yishmael and he says, what's there? So Yishmael says, what's in the Torah? He says, you shouldn't steal. He said, what are you talking about? You gave me a bracha that my hand will be in everybody else's pocket, which means we're going to steal from them. So now you want me to return that? No, we don't want that. That's how we live. Yeah.
I'm just making sure, did it actually mean that, or were they like interpreting?
What are you asking?
Were the Ishmaelites and the Edomites interpreting the blessing with the live by the sword and with the hand in the pocket? Was that distinctly selected to be, you will be killing people and you will be killing people, or are they just unfortunately interpreting that as?
That's an interesting question.
Would there be a positive light to that they didn't go for?
That is a fascinating question. I like the question. I really do. The answer is, I don't know. Could you interpret you shall live by the sword another way that would not say you're going to kill people in order to get what you want? I don't know. Was that part of the DNA? So to that I would say no. Again, Hashem gives us all free will. But free will means that I'm going to do what Hashem wants. Whether or not I agree with it, I'm going to do what Hashem wants. So Hashem said, "You shall not murder to everybody, to non-Jews included." So, not you shall not kill. By the way, you shall not kill would mean I couldn't kill the chicken to eat it, okay? Or I couldn't kill a bug when it lands on me. I can do that. I can also use them for human. If I need to get drugs, so to experiment on the animals. That's not a problem. It's not a problem because it's for our benefit. So once it's for our benefit, we can do it. But if I'm just going to kill something, if the halacha was you cannot kill, period, so then I couldn't even kill for self-defense. I couldn't do anything. And that's how it would be breaking the law. So it's not that. It's everybody has, you shall not murder. And so when they would see that, they would argue, look, I'm not murdering, I'm defending. But you gave me that bracha, so now if you're going to tell me I can't do it, I can't steal, I can't do this, I can't do that, you're going against my nature, and to Gad Hashem would say, yeah, so what? Of course I'm going to, when I tell a person that they shouldn't engage in adultery, I'm going against their nature too. When I'm telling you shouldn't hold a grudge, I'm going against your nature because everybody wants to hold a grudge. It's much easier to hate than to love. So that's our natural thing to want to kill only about me. It's all about me. And if people would admit that to themselves, then they could go a little further. But everybody says, no, I don't hold grudges. I just will never forgive you. I don't know what that means. I just had a conversation with somebody that said that they want to know. Do they have to forgive somebody who didn't ask them for forgiveness? I said, it's just smart to do it. That's all, because why would you want to hold a grudge? It's against the Torah to hold a grudge. No, but that's not what I want to hear. Okay. It's a different thing. I don't care what you want to hear. Either you're going to do something, or you're not going to do something. And that's what I'm saying. The Torah is all inclusive. So whatever the point of that midrash, by the way, is whatever you think is your Achilles heel, that's where Hashem says, I want you to give that up. And you say, whoa, that's my whole personality. You don't even speak Lashon Hara? I'm the greatest. Can you imagine if somebody told Don Rickles? You know what Don Rickles is? Don Rickles was an insulter, a professional. No, but what did he do?
That was his.
He would insult people. What do you call that? No, he wasn't a heckler. Whatever that was, when a guy comes up and says, "Oh, so you think you're good? And he insults you in front of the entire audience.
It's a stand-up comedy routine.
Stand-up comedy, but
he would purposely pick on people
right.
to see him.
I forget what they call that, but if you would tell him, Don, he's a Jewish guy. He's a Jewish guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
If you would tell him, Don, I hate to tell you this, dude, but we have laws of Lashon Hara, and so he would say, "What are you, crazy? I should give him a profession. I can't do that." And Hashem says, "No, but you have to." Okay, so that would be a part of it.
But it's an act, though, and everybody knows it's an act.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I want you to know something. You have magicians.
I'm not even kidding.
You have magicians.
A
magician was what we call it a chizah denayim, when I'm grabbing your eyes. We all know it's illusion. We all know David Copperfield didn't walk through the
illusions.
We all know he didn't walk through the Great Wall of China. We all know he didn't make the Statue of Liberty disappear. We all know that. But we love the illusion.
Yeah.
Okay? It's against halacha. Bottom line, it's against halacha.
Interesting.
And most people, and I gave a share in this. I actually gave a lunch and learned this. Most people, I'm sure you can get somebody who disagrees, but most people say it's usher, which is why you can't have a Jewish magician, at your birthday parties. And again, people do what they're going to do. I'm not going to start, giving halacha based upon a share like this, but it's a side point I'm making. But there are those who would say it's absolutely forbidden. The Gemara comes out, absolutely forbidden. Now, I don't know how we rule in every single case, but like I said, those are the situations that you're running by. But my point to you is, there's 613 major topics that we have. And those major topics speak to each one of us, and some of us want to do something. And halacha says, and God says to us, I know that's your desire, and I'm telling you, if you want to serve me, you're going to conquer that, and you're going to rely upon me, you're going to trust me, that it's not good for you. That desire isn't good for you. Again, your desire isn't what everybody else's desire is, by the way. Again, there's 613 of these. So, major topics. We have to keep that in mind. Okay. So, Yeah, so then it says, anything else about there? H dot, where is that H dot? Oh, so it said why? So Rashi says why is H dot is written as one word, yet we read it as two. The ketiva is one, but we read it as two words. So he says what's going on then? Shai te ketuva me'az lefanav be'esh chora al gebei esh levana. That is teaching us that there was black fire over white. It was written with black fire over white fire, and it was given in the luchot by the hand of God. Okay. Another thing is that it was given to them from the midst of fire. So that's why it's Eish dot again, the fire, the fiery law. So yeah, okay, very good. So it says Av Chavivavim. Also, indeed, you loved the tribes greatly. Kol kedoshav yadecha. All of the holy ones were in your hands. And they planted themselves at your feet, and bearing the yoke of your utterances. And I just want to go on pasuk here. Torah tziva lanu Moshe is a famous song we sing. The Torah that was commanded to Moshe, Morasha kihilat Yaakov. It is an inheritance to the congregation of Yaakov. So if you look toward on page 1113, number 4, it says Torah Morasha. So it says the Torah is the heritage. The Torah is an inalienable possession of Israel, transmitted from generation to generation. That's the Ramban. Reb Mordechai Gifter explains the difference between Nachala, inheritance, and Morasha, heritage. An inheritance belongs to the heirs to use and to dispose of as they please. A heritage, however, is the property of generations before and after. It is incumbent upon the heirs to preserve it intact. That's what he said. So the sages expound homiletically that the word Morasha can be read as if it was spelled with an aleph, me'orasa, which means married, meaning that the Jewish people and the Torah are considered like bride and groom. This refers to the entire nation. For everyone, rich and poor alike, have an equal share in the Torah. Therefore, if wealthy people try to take the Torah as the exclusive property of themselves and their children, without making provision for the children of the poor, the Torah cries out, as it were, that it is wedded to all Jews, and is being torn away from its mate. This places a great responsibility upon everyone to provide for the Torah education of those who lack funds or have not had an opportunity to learn. So here's one of the great things for the outreach movements, and it also explains why why every day school originally had the policy of we don't care if you have money. Money will not be a reason for you not to come. Now that changed over the years because what happened was it was just too expensive to run it, like everything else. You have to pay teachers, you have to do things. But originally, and there are still some people who will do this, they'll say they will give the money to people, to the school, to say, okay, let these people go. I'm paying the bill for them. You know, the rich people will many times kick in. And most schools today are not run based upon our tuition. Our tuition is like shul dues. It pays maybe 1/3 of the cost of the building, and no more than that. A school, any good school, any bad school, will cost over $1 million to run. So just think about that. Over $1 million to run easily, because you have teachers, you have the lunch programs, or even without lunch programs, when we used to brown bag it, still you have the janitors, you have everything else, you have the administration, and you have insurances, you have to worry about that. So every school today is much more than $1 million. So again, if people are nice enough that they want to support it, like they do here, and then you get vouchers and so on and so forth, so then, okay, you can afford it. Otherwise, if you go to places like New York, I think, is also getting vouchers. But places that don't have it, or I know in Maimonides, it was $10,000 a student.
What, the asked for price?
The asked for price was $10,000, $10,000 to $11,000.
About a while ago.
I was there I've been here for 10 years, 17 years ago. 17 years ago, the asking price was $10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now it's probably $15,000, $20,000.
Yeah.
For the asking price. And again, that doesn't cover the budget. I want to understand. That doesn't. So if a person has 5 kids,
Yeah.
he's not paying 50 grand either, unless he's able to. But even that is not going to make the budget. That if you look at college today, college is also ridiculous, but it's also 20, 30,000.
Yeah.
And they would argue too they're not making the budget just from tuition. Okay, I don't know. But the point is, Torah Tziva Lanu Moshe is Marasha. It's a heritage to us. We have the obligation to pass it, to transmit it from generation to generation. And if we don't do that, we're giving up our heritage. With our heritage, we can do what we want. That we can spend, we can throw away, it doesn't mean anything. But our heritage, we don't have the right to do that. We have a sacred responsibility. And that's why he calls it Marasha Kihilat Yaakov. And then it says, Vayi B'Shor Melech. I think, again, this is all of the introduction that Moshe is using to the people to try to tell them, guys, you have a responsibility here. You have a major responsibility. Before I give you each individual brachas, which I will, the only one who's not mentioned in this bracha is Shimon. By the way, he's the only tribe. The only tribe that's not mentioned. There's a couple of reasons. I'm going to run out of time, so I'm just going to come to that. The only reason that they give a couple of reasons. One, because Shimon was in the plague in the Moab. Yeah, and Moab. So because they were the ones in Moab, Cosby and Zimri, and he was from the tribe of Shimon. So that's why he was included. That's one reason. That's one reason they give. Another reason they give, the Ramban gives a very fascinating reason. He said that whenever the blessings are given out, is only 12. It's never 13. So either Levi is not counted, or Menashe and Shimon are always put together under Yosef. In other words, whenever Menashe and Ephraim are split, so then Levi is kicked out of the equation. Whenever Levi is included, so now Menashe and Ephraim become Yosef. This is the only time that we don't see that. Why? Because who came from Ephraim? Yehoshua. So you have to include Yehoshua, so therefore Ephraim is separate from Menashe. He doesn't want to leave his family out, namely Levi, because Levi is going to be the teachers of Bnei Israel. So the only one that he could leave out was Shimon. So why Shimon? Why pick on poor Shimon? Because his territory was intertwined with everybody else. He didn't have separate lands as where he was spread out. That was because of the curse of Yaakov, who said you should be spread around the whole place. So they're really part of everybody else. And more than, so that was, that, and again, with that, one second, with that situation, because Yaakov didn't bless him, so he said, so I don't want to get in the middle of that fight, so he also doesn't bless him. Yeah, go ahead. Last question. Say again?
Levi's portion just be mixed in with everybody else?
Levi's the teachers.
No portion.
He doesn't get any portion.
So, but they end up mixed a bunch.
Yeah, but the point is that Shimon got a portion, but it was mixed in.
They don't have land.
Levi doesn't have land.
Shimon has land.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right, as Levi doesn't have anything. They have to see it's a refuge, and so
Right.
yeah, but they can't do anything with it. They can't sell it. They can't. There's even restrictions on how to farm. It was the first.
We can move anywhere we want.
It was the first condominium section you could ever have. What do they call the place where you condos where they tell you what you can plant and what you can't plant.
Yeah.
That's what it is. The first association
Yeah.
was done by the Levium by God. Okay, we'll have to stop here.
Okay. Sure.